It's not easy to feel sorry for Donald Trump. He is not a sympathetic guy. Now, that is by design. If you read The United States of Trump, which tells you all about Trump the man, not the politician or any of that, he wants to put forth a very strong image, and he does. So when a person is powerful, it's hard to feel sorry for him or her. But Donald Trump is being treated unfairly in this country, and it is embarrassing and dangerous to watch these zealots on the left try to destroy the man. Now, I'm a fair guy, you know that, all right? If Donald Trump did something heinous, I would be all for holding him accountable. But I've gone over all of these cases. He made mistakes, there's no doubt he did, okay? And I have pointed those mistakes out vividly to you. But this prosecution in New York City about the hush money, this is insane. It should never be happening, but it is. And there is more unfairness on the way, and that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. So Donald Trump's not going to prison. All right, he may be convicted in New York City. He's not going to get a fair trial. There's no way he gets a fair trial in New York City. As I said on News Nation and on the No Spin News, he can't. All right, the judge is absolutely against him, should have recused. The venue should have been changed from Manhattan to Long Island or upstate New York. None of that happened. Whatever happens to Trump in New York City will be appealed, first in the New York State Supreme Court, which probably won't give any relief, but then into the federal system. And there he will get relief, in my opinion. And that'll take years, potentially. So Trump's going to be on the ballot. He's going to be able to run for president. Now, the main strategy of the Democratic Party is to demonize Trump as a dictator. It's as simple as that. He's a dictator. He wants to overthrow the Constitution and impose fascist governance on all Americans. That is the main theme of the Biden campaign. So let me back that up. MSNBC and CNN are both reliable carriers of the Democratic message. So if you want to know what the Biden campaign and the Democrats are thinking, you watch either or. All right? MSNBC is further left than CNN, but it's close. All right, so John Meacham, you may have heard the name. He is a historian. All right, he works at Vanderbilt College in Nashville. He's a smart guy. All right? So he goes on yesterday morning, Monday morning, and he says this. Go.
And as you say, an attempt to basically run a coup d'etat 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago, to overturn an election that was adjudicated again and again, often by judges appointed by Republicans. So in the broadest sense, what's on trial is fact, is truth. And then the second thing that's on trial, which is vital, is half the country has essentially decided that whatever Donald Trump does is fine because of X, Y, or Z, whatever that reason is, right? There is his strong base, then there are his enablers who think that they're going to have lower taxes and more conservative judges, and it doesn't matter that he's trying to rip up the Constitution.
He's trying to rip up the Constitution. So Meacham has already convicted Donald Trump of sedition, if not treason. That's what the man has done, publicly, on television. So who exactly is John Meacham? Well, here's how he was introduced. Go.
And Rogers Chair in the American presidency at Vanderbilt University, historian John Meacham. We have a lot of breaking news over the weekend to get to on the world stage globally.
Introduced as a historian from Vanderbilt University. Okay. Well, not quite. Here is John Meacham's resume. In 2020, Meacham helped prepare Joe Biden's presidential nomination speech at the convention. Meacham wrote part of it. 4 years later, he wrote part of Biden's State of the Union address. Biden offered him a job, but Meacham didn't want it because he couldn't make as much money as he's making now. So Meacham is a political activist, a Democrat activist. He's not a historian. He can say he is, but historians, by definition, are objective. They're looking at history and trying to figure out what happened and why, not favoring a certain party. And John Meacham has done that his whole life. His whole life. So this is what I mean. They masquerade it. And they come in, oh, John Meacham, the historian, he says that Trump is trying to rip up the Constitution. Now, there will be a trial about that in Washington, D.C., Special Prosecutor Jack Smith. All right? On April 25th, the Supreme Court will hear whether this trial will go forward. Donald Trump is saying what I did on January 6th is part of my duty as president. I believe the election was fraudulent, and I said so. That's part of my duty. You can't prosecute me for that. And when people came to support me, I spoke to those people, which he did. But I didn't encourage them to go to the Capitol and commit violence. He encouraged them to protest. But he said, and it's on tape, you've heard it 100 times, peacefully. And there's a whole bunch of exculpatory stuff as well. Not that John Meacham or MSNBC or NBC News or anybody on the left cares. They don't. They've already convicted Trump because that's what they want to believe. So getting back to Trump himself, I feel sorry for the man to have to go through this. I don't think he's a fascist dictator. I watched him for 4 years govern a country. He did a pretty good job. He didn't violate any tenets of the Constitution while he was in office, did he? If he did, let me know. Bill@BillO'Reilly.com. Shoot me a text. Shoot me an email. Let me know what he violated in 4 years when he was there. He made mistakes on January 6th, clearly made mistakes. Didn't act quick enough, wasn't assertive enough to stop the violence, condemn the violence. Those are all big mistakes. But the Supreme Court is going to hear this, and it's going to be a close vote. I'll tell you right now. And I don't believe in a court of law, in a fair venue, D.C. certainly not that, all right, that Trump would be convicted of anything. The evidence is too much exculpatory evidence. Okay, so when you hear this stuff, you, the informed person, because you wouldn't be watching and listening to me if you weren't informed. You simply wouldn't. You'd be watching The Voice or some stupid show, the Fantasy Island, Make a Deal. I don't know what it is. It's so insipid. But you know what's going on. But 50% of the country doesn't. And there's been some studies that back that up. The first one is the Annenberg Public Policy Center at the University of Pennsylvania, a serious place. All right, they conducted a study out last year of about 1,500 Americans, and they asked them questions about the Constitution. Do you know that 34% of the American electorate, people who vote, don't know the three portions of our government? They don't know the three branches? 34%. That'd be pretty shocking. 46% don't know that the Supreme Court is the final say about whether a law is constitutional. 46%. And there was another study out of MIT that said that the typical voter knew about 1.3 out of the three most important stories of the week. So the typical voter misses two of the most important stories of the week out of three. All right? I mean, it's shocking. So these people vote. They vote. And it is really, I mean, it's a situation where my job is to watch everybody, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, whatever, and give you my opinion based on facts, which we do pretty well here, I think. All right? We wouldn't be this successful if we didn't. It's 7 years now. But Donald Trump is being treated terribly by our judicial system, which has collapsed, in my opinion. If you're looking for justice in America, you're not going to get it. Chances are. You're not going to get it in criminal court. You're not going to get it in civil court. That is very, very troublesome. And that's a memo.